Hey there! Today I wanted to rank all the different video games that I have made. I will only be ranking those games which are publicly available on itch.io, so 6 games in total. With that said, let's begin. Starting off the list at number 6, we have 10 lines of code. I don't think this is a surprise to anyone, but this game was only made for a challenge. Therefore, it has no sound effects or proper graphics, nothing. I still had to include it because it is playable on my itch page, but it definitely doesn't compare to my other games. I still had a lot of fun making it, and the challenge is still my most viewed video, so there's that. At number 5, we have Light 'em Up. This game was made in a week for the Spooktober Jam 2021, but for some reason I haven't made a video on it. It was my first game jam and it ranked 104th out of 235 submitted games. The gameplay is fun at first, but because of the lack of enemies, it can get pretty boring. Still, I had a lot of fun both with the coding and with the sound design. In 4th place, we have Space Core Bounty Hunter. Now, this game will always be dear to me, since this is how this channel began, but let's face it, it has a lot of issues. The tutorial isn't the greatest, the graphics could use some work, and the gameplay itself gets repetitive pretty quick. But other than that, it has some elements that I still find interesting, like being able to enter your spaceship and the different areas with unique features. Coming in at number 3, we have Total Duel. This was also a smaller project, but I find the gameplay and the mechanics really interesting. The mechanics for fencing in this game are quite unique, and I might just use them in a future project. It's still a really fun local multiplayer game, and I still play this with my friends when they come over. It doesn't have a tutorial, but the basic mechanics are pretty easy to understand. At number 2 on our list, we have Siege of the Blue Planet. This was my first big project. I teamed up with a couple of friends, and over the course of 9 months, we created this top-down shooter. I still fondly remember designing the different enemies and adding unique abilities to each of them. We even added 2 different game modes, and the game can be played in single player as well as local multiplayer mode. Now, of course, the game still has many issues. For example, the UI is far from perfect, but the reason I rank this so high is because even today, when I'm bored, I sometimes launch this game and I still have fun with it. We also tried advertising and selling it, which didn't really work out, so now it is free along with all of my other games. And finally, at number 1, we have my most recent game, Strike of Deception. The main reason for this being at number 1 can be summed up in just one word: polish. This game has several options, like being able to change the volume for the sound effects and the music separately, and being able to choose between 3 different difficulties. It has an in-depth tutorial, and there are many sound effects as well as visual effects for every important thing happening in the game. These details might not seem that big, but this was my first game in which I implemented all of these aspects at once. One interesting thing about this game is that it has 3 different components. The parachuting component, the one where you are trying to get to the documents, and the one where you are escaping the facility. And each component feels unique, while also feeling coherent with the other components. With that being said, the game still has some issues. Despite the levels being randomly generated, the game can get repetitive pretty quick after the player learns the solution for each obstacle. Another problem is the lack of rewards. Upon completing a level, the player gets money. They can use this money to buy gadgets which make the levels easier, and after you have completed a max difficulty run, there isn't really much to do anymore. Still, it's a fun little platformer, and like Siege of the Blue Planet, I still play it from time to time. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe, and check out the aforementioned video games if you haven't already. They are all available on itch.io for free. Also, consider supporting me on Patreon. It helps a ton. Goodbye and take care.